Hey guys, it's Jean-Claude, and I don't know how the heck this is happening, but I seem to be developing a sore throat again. How unlucky is that? And earlier I went to go get some cough drops, Hall's cough drops specifically from Walmart, and they were completely out. How is that even possible? There must be something going around. This is a little too insane for me to be running out of Hall's at this time of the year. Alright, I'm just hoping I'm good. By the time Indianapolis comes around again, I can't imagine having two Vultures in a row where I suddenly don't feel that great. That would be really awful. Alright, so this Archon is green, and we'll start off with Sanctum. Oh, got so busy telling the story, I just want to mention that today's deck is for patron Dennis Aarsen. Good luck to you. He is a $25 patron, and I appreciate all my patrons and all my viewers. Thank you guys very much. You're the reason I do this. Alright, second house is Dis, and the third house is Shadows. Martialis W, Uridash the 5th. Pretty cool looking Archon there. Like the legs. Got all this crazy stuff floating up above. Let's hope we see another good deck here today. I feel like we've only had one bad deck in AOA just recently. Overall, they've been pretty interesting. This box has had some pretty crazy decks. We had one where there was only 2 Amber Pips in the whole deck. That was nuts. But it did have a lot of game besides that. Had some other little combo type decks and just been very all over the place, but it's a lot of fun. We'll see what this deck has in store for us. And we're starting off with, oh, okay. I've not seen this in AOA, the Sting. This is actually one of my favorite Coda decks, so I'm hoping we have another deck that's kind of like that. It's an artifact, Amber whenever you play it. You skip your Forging Key step. You get all Amber spent by your opponent when forging keys. Action, sacrifice the Sting. So, the way that I like to play this card, personally, is I like to rush out my first key, drop this card. It puts your opponent in a horrible position, right? Because the moment they forge the next key, you call Shadows, you get this off the board. You are essentially getting a free key's worth of Amber. You only have to get 6 more Amber. It's amazing. Now, if you draw this late and your opponent forges before you do, this might be a good discard target. Heist Knight Alpha. So it's the first thing you must do on your turn. Steal 1 Amber for each friendly thief creature. This could be interesting if you get a lot of thieves. Too much to protect. Amber whenever you play it. Steal all but 6 of your opponent's Amber. Wow. Yancey Gang 5 power, action, steal an Amber. Umbra 2 power skirmish, fight, steal an Amber. A lot of Amber going on here. Throwing Stars, deal 1 damage to up to 3 creatures, gain 1 Amber for each creature destroyed this way. A second Throwing Stars. Sucker Punch, Amber whenever you play it. Alpha, deal 2 damage to an enemy creature if that creature is destroyed by this effect. Archive Sucker Punch. We already have Heist Knight, and now this is Alphas. I hope we don't get any more in Shadows. Please not. Okay, good. Did not want another Alpha. It's actually one of the big downsides to AOA decks is if you get a bunch of Alpha cards within the same house, it really slows your deck down. Gamgee's 2 power elusive, Reap. If your opponent has more Amber than you, you steal 1. A lot of stealing. Like to see that. Furtive Investors, Amber whenever you play it. If your opponent has more Amber than you, gain 1 Amber for each key your opponent has forged. Bad Penny, 1 power, destroyed. Return Bad Penny to your hand. And a second Bad Penny. Oh, bad Penny. Ah, jeez. I got a special video for you guys coming out here soon. Alright, the Vault Keeper, 4 power, 1 armor. Your Amber cannot be stolen. That's a good card. Armageddon Cloak. Amber whenever you play it, it's an upgrade. This creature gains Hazardous 2 and destroyed. Fully heal this creature and destroy Armageddon Cloak instead. Great way to protect your Vault Keeper here, so you can prevent your Amber from being stolen for an even longer amount of time. Anita the Trader, 2 power, Reap. Give control of a friendly artifact to your opponent. If you do, they must give you 2 Amber. Oh my gosh, wait a minute. Okay, this is insane with the Sting. Your opponent forges a key, gives you the Amber. The next turn, you don't have to call Shadows to sacrifice it. You call Shadows, give your opponent the Sting. If they don't have Shadows in their deck, they have to call Shadows just to get it off the board. That is insanity. This is so cool in this deck. Equalize, Amber whenever you play it. Redistribute the Amber on friendly creatures among friendly creatures. Then redistribute the Amber on enemy creatures among enemy creatures. This card was always just kind of okay, but now that we've seen Worlds Collide, this card has got a little bit more value. Baron Mengevin, 6 power, 1 armor. After you discard a Sanctum card from your hand, Baron Mengevin captures an Amber. Smite. Ready and fight with a friendly creature. Deal 2 damage to the attacked creature's neighbors. Sir Meros is 4 power, 2 armor. After your opponent gains Amber by reaping, Sir Meros captures it. Protect the Weak. It's an upgrade. Every time you play it, this creature gets +1 armor and gains Taunt. Golden Aura. Choose a creature. Fully heal the chosen creature. For the remainder of the turn, the chosen creature is considered to be in House Sanctum and cannot be dealt damage. Child the Safeguard, 4 power, 2 armor, deploy and taunt. Might be nice to put this in between some Shadows creatures we played on a previous turn, like Umbra and Yancey Gang. Bordan the Redeemed, 3 power, elusive, action, capture 2 amber. Another great amber control card. Albeit the Grim, 4 power, 1 armor. Whenever you play it, you capture 3 amber. Reap, discard 1 amber from Albeit the Grim. Now we're, oh my gosh. I was just about to say how good this deck is looking. We're now on to Dis. This tells us immediately what we have going on in here. It's Ortanu's Binding. Amber, whenever you play it, deal 2 damage to a friendly creature. That means we should have at least another one. There it is. The question is, will we have a 3rd and 4th one? If we find a 3rd and 4th one, that means we're going to have 2 Ortanus. Let's see if it's a 3rd one or an Ortanu himself. Okay, it's Ortanu the Chained. 7 power, Reap. Return each copy of Ortanu's Binding from your discard pile to your hand. For each one returned this way, deal 2 damage to a creature with a 2 damage splash. So good. This is great board control. Big power. It's harder to get off the board. This Reap effect is really, really awesome. Getting these back, especially whenever we have Sanctum. We have some armor protecting our own creatures. These aren't really going to do much damage to us, and we're getting the Amber. I mean, this is just a fantastic card, especially in a deck with Sanctum. Scullion, 7 power, 2 armor. There's another 2 armor card. Very nice. Whenever you play it, you sacrifice a friendly creature. Old Jerk is 5 power. Choose and discard 2 cards from your hand. And a Yerk, 4 power. Choose and discard a card from your hand. I'm a big fan of these cards. I love that we can get other cards out of our hand from a different house, just so we can draw more cards at the end of the turn, cycling through our deck a little bit faster. Unlocked Gateway, Omega, play, destroy each creature. So we have a big board control in this deck, which is nice if you ever find yourself getting behind. Shoaler, 5 power. If your opponent has 4 more amber, you steal 1. Binding Irons, your opponent gains 3 chains. Banish, amber whenever you play it, put an enemy creature into your opponent's archives. A second Banish, and one last card of the deck. Oh, it's a 3rd Banish, interesting. Okay, so the only thing I don't necessarily like about this deck is the 2 bad pennies, but I will say this, those 2 bad pennies are thieves, and that does help that Heist Knight hit for 2 more, so that might not be too bad. You might actually play your bad pennies in this deck. Let's go ahead and get up the Amber. First thing we like to check out on the channel is Amber, then Amber Control, then we usually check out the creatures. We won't necessarily count Anita, but there is a chance to get some extra amber there. I believe the only artifact in here was the Sting. So we have 1. We'll call this 1, so that makes 2. 3, 4. Oh, don't know why I pulled these guys up. I was thinking about Amber Control, I guess. Usually you can count these as 1 each, so 5, 6, 7, and I like to count this one actually twice, so we'll make it 8 because it does archive itself. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Wow, 18, that's pretty good. Especially when you consider those bindings could come back and we could potentially make it a little bit more than that. And the Sting, sometimes that gives you 6 more amber. That could be a big amber burst there. Alright, so let's go ahead and get to the Amber Control, which I believe this deck had a decent amount of. Yeah, especially whenever we get here to Sanctum, I feel like there was, yeah, right there, a couple creatures that could do it. The Vault Keeper is kind of Amber Control because one of the most common things your opponents will do, they're going to play Shadows, and they're going to be trying to steal your Amber. So this is actually Amber Control. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 Amber Control. That is really good. Oh my gosh. How many creatures are in this thing? Let's pull all of them up. I know the creatures were good, and that's what's really important. So hopefully we still have a decent number of them. But overall, they're kind of bigger. They have great effects if they're not bigger. And even if they are bigger, they do have fantastic effects on top of that. And of course, the 2 bad pennies. All right, let's count up the creatures here. We have 1, 5, 10, 15, 17. Okay, so we got an average creature count. One more thing before we get into the bulk of this. Let's see how many thieves we have. So we got 1, 2, 3. Shouldn't have any in the other houses. They should all be in Shadows. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Bordan the Redeemed is a human thief. How interesting is that? They're not going to be thinking about this card when they see your deck list and they see a Heist Knight. That's actually pretty cool. Okay, I believe, yeah, Umbra and the gang. So let's count those up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 thieves. That's actually a really good number. I could see that Heist Knight actually hitting probably 2. So that's really, really good. Now talk a little bit about some of the combos and things that I see in here. We discussed early on the Anita the Traitor with the Sting. I think that is just absurd. It's going to be hard to pull off, but I would love to see this actually happen in the game. How dirty are you going to feel after doing that, right? That is so good. I think this deck, with all of its Amber control and all of its Amber pips that it has going on, plus it's cycling the way to get to those Amber and Amber control quicker, I do believe you have a greater odds of being the first player to forge a key and getting this Sting out there. That is really awesome. I love good the Sting decks. I do believe the Sting in a powerful deck is one of the most powerful cards there is. I mean, it's just insane. You have some decent board controlling things. You have the Gateway, Golden Aura, Smite, so ways to use creatures or do extra damage. I also do like with the Golden Aura here, just sometimes using one of your Shadows creatures on a Sanctum turn to steal in some way, whether it's the Gang or the Umbra. Or even a Gamgee could do that. We have the Bad Pennies, which can make the Scullion not really even matter as far as having to sacrifice a creature. Like, you're not necessarily losing one. 3 Banishes is kind of interesting. Your opponent can always get the creature back, but there's sometimes where it kind of messes up an archive deck. Some decks that are all about archiving, they just archive a particular house, and they're just getting the cards out of their deck, or they're building up for one of those big turns. So sometimes putting an off-house card in there can kind of mess up their game plans a little. I mean, they're still going to be able to do their big turn, but it's still fun to put that in there. Maybe you're actually preventing them from getting that creature back for a while because they don't want to pick those archives up because they're trying to build some sort of combo. So it could be a kind of a permanent removal, but at the same time, not really. Ortanu is just a beast of a card. There was just a lot of bigger power creatures in here. You got the Ortanu, Scullion, Old Yerk, a lot of 5s and 6s in here. Sorry, 5s, 6s, and 7s. And if they had 4 power... Look at this. You got some armor here, so it makes it harder to take them out. Your opponent's going to need some big creatures to take these guys off your board. That's really nice. I like seeing that. There's definitely some value in bigger power creatures. Your opponent's going to need actual direct removal to take care of them. It's not often they're just going to have big creatures to even just take out something like a Schuler. And if they do, they're usually sacrificing their own creature. But things like this Baron Gevin and those 7 power creatures, it's not easy for your opponent to take care of them without actions. So that's really neat. I think the Amber control in this deck is really good. You got some big problem cards for your opponent. Your opponent doesn't want to build up to a huge Amber count because maybe you're going to too much to protect them. Well, in that case, go ahead and call Shadows. Obeyed, right? I love having these 2 different styles of cards because it puts your opponent in a position where they have to try and figure out which one you have and what's the right call whenever it comes to them generating some Amber. When you have good cards like each of these in here, playing those mind games with them is always an advantage, so that's really cool. Yeah, this deck is really solid. It's at 17 creatures, 18 Amber, maybe more with the Sting. Like 8 Amber control cards. It's just really good. I love seeing this thing. Heck, Armageddon Cloak on top of your Ortanu? Keep it around that much longer. That's just one of those little fun things that this deck can do. Yeah, I like this thing quite a bit. Alright, the rating for this deck, it's definitely up there. It doesn't have an artifact control card, which is a little bit of a problem. Has a lot of great things going for it, though. This is an easy B+. It could even be an A-. Whenever I talk about A's, I'm talking about these are like the top tier decks. These are things you look at them and without question you say, I'm taking this to a vault tour. The real beauty with like B+, with enough practice, those are the decks that can also do well at a vault tour. If there's anything we know about Keyforge, it's not just all about the decks. It's knowing your deck, it's knowing your matchups. You can take a mid-tier deck and you can turn it into something special. Alright guys, well thank you very much for watching my videos, and I'll see you next time.